Welcome to Activations with JJ Ascension Message. In this episode, we will be discussing how to do planetary grid work, as well as managing the ascension symptom of overwhelm. These topics are the kind that woke me up in the middle of the night, so I know they're important and I'm excited to dive right in. Let's get going. Welcome, my beautiful friends, all of you who are gathering to listen to this episode and co-create with me. If you are new to my podcast, a very special welcome to you. I'm so grateful for anyone and everyone who felt the call to click on this podcast when it popped up on their feed. And I know that the AI and spirit, they're all working for the 5D, and we are really banding together with all these ideas, all these concepts, in order to help us all rise together. This is a planetary ascension after all. Now, that being said, my topic for today is very closely related to the idea of the shift into 5D from a planetary perspective. And it's really interesting how this topic actually came about. I was not planning on doing an episode today. And what happened was I went to sit down and do a reel about a really cool thing that I learned, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment. And reels can only be 1 minute and 30 seconds. So they can be quite challenging to create if you're trying to do a sound bite. As I sat down, I recorded again and again and again, and the words were not coming out right. So it was actually late at night and I decided I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to do this reel. And after I went to bed, I had a pretty good sleep, but I woke up in the wee hours of the morning with these thoughts running through my mind, and particularly about how I was going to do this information, how I was going to state all this in a very concise way. And I was really struggling with it. I was trying to create it in my mind. I mean, when you can't go to sleep, you can't go back to sleep. And so I just let my mind go, oh, what are we going to say? And how would I put this? And how do I say it in the way that's going to be the most concise? And then Spirit said, why are you trying to squeeze this in to 1 minute and 30 seconds? This is really a topic we would like you to speak about in a podcast episode so that you can give it adequate time. So here I am talking to you about planetary grid work. Now I'm sure you're wondering what the story was that I was going to tell. So here goes. About 4 or 5 months ago, I decided that I was going to plan a second trip to the East Coast. I did one in August of 2022. And so I thought, you know what? I really want to come back in the spring. One of my favorite places to be is the Angel CoOp. They have a shungite room where I do one-on-one sessions. And then they have another space where I do workshops. And I had such an incredible time in my last visit that I thought I really wanted to come back. There are things that I did there that I knew were due to the beautiful energies there. So that's in Connecticut. It's not too far from New York City. Well, every time I go to New York City, I end up doing grid work. I've actually shared this in an episode before. I don't mind the energy there. I know a lot of empaths have a tough time with big cities, but I don't mind it. I actually tend to turn on this part of me that's totally capable of doing it. It's really my galactic side that's used to being in places and councils where there's lots of different energies, lots of different peoples. I know in other lives, in parallel lives, I'm in cities way bigger than New York. And I just know that I can do even grid work there. I feel like my presence there is something that's contributing to the grid work. In fact, a few months ago, it was, I think, maybe 12 months ago, I ended up going there and meeting with one of my listeners. I literally was. I had said, I'm going to be in New York. I know you're from there. And so she and I met up in Central Park. And this was really to do a one-on-one session with her. We actually ended up finding ourselves at this part of the park, which is associated with the Beatles, in particular John Lennon, as well as what is referred to as the Women's Gate. If you look at a map of the park, that's what it's called. And there's like some tunnels and bridges in that area. It's really fascinating. So we sat there and I did this one-on-one with her. I did a reading. I did some light language activation out in nature. It was really beautiful. And then I said, you know what? I think we need to do some grid work. And I feel like we're going to balance some divine feminine and divine masculine here in Central Park, which is a place where a lot of people come. Every time I do grid work in a place where it's a big city, there's a lot of tourists, I think I'm going to activate wherever we are so that everybody who walks through this place gets an activation of some kind, gets an upgrade of their own free will, right? Like there's a part of them that has to consent. But it's like planting a little bubble of 5D energy right there. And when they walk through it, they just get whoosh right through the body. And so we did that. We went through and we kind of activated some certain parts, and it was just a beautiful experience. Now, fast forward to this time that I'm going to be in New York here in March of 2023, and it'll be the 17th, 18th, and 19th that I'm on the East Coast. The 19th, I'll be in Manhattan. And I thought, I really want to do a gathering in the heart of the city. One of the reasons, and this is actually the main reason I did decide to do this, because I know some of you are in like New Jersey, others of you are on Long Island, some of you are in other places like Brooklyn. And I thought, where can I choose a centralized location? That's why I chose to do it in Manhattan. Now, the property, the venues in Manhattan are at a premium. Okay. So I knew I was only doing a 2-hour workshop. Everywhere I could find was like, oh, you need to be here for 4 hours for the whole day. And I'm like, where am I going to find? So my beautiful friend Mica has some connections to the theater community. And she found this theater just off Broadway that is a smaller venue, an older theater, but it was perfect. And I said, okay, we're going to book this location. Now, it's very different than where I normally book my workshops. And I thought, you know what? I feel like there's a reason for this. And so as I have sat with this particular workshop, again, it's happening in Manhattan on March 19th, I knew there was more to it than I was feeling. One, the location in the heart of the city, and it's actually up a couple of floors. And so as things began to drop in, all the puzzle pieces came together, and more came over these last few days. The first one was there's something about the fact that it's on a stage where there's been a lot of energy. Normally, as I said before, empaths are like, oh, we got to clear and cleanse it. And then sometimes my guides are like, but what if the energy that's on that stage is beneficial? This is a place where a lot of creativity has happened, a lot of sacral chakra. And then on a stage, you're going to have a lot of emotion. What if you harness the energy that's in the walls and in the floor and in the seats of this theater from all the years of holding these artistic works and these theatrical productions and used it to your advantage? There's something to that. So then I felt, I think there's something about that. And the fact that it's on a higher floor. What is it about being a little bit higher off the ground? Normally, all of my gatherings, all my workshops are at the first floor of a building. When we were in Los Angeles, another big city, we ended up being on a second floor. And again, this is all tied into grid work, because whenever we do a workshop, we're not only doing it for our own individual benefit. I truly feel we're activating the area where we are. And so as this all played out in my mind and the spirit started teaching me, like, this is what's happening, then another idea popped in, and that was, why would you not come to New York and do grid work? This workshop is not about giving people information about star races and connecting with their galactic families. The people that are going to attend are going to be capable of helping you do grid work right in the heart of this big city with lots of energy. And so that's why a couple of weeks ago, that was actually my March monthly energy update, I said, I want to send out a call to those of you who are light workers to join with me and gather with me in Manhattan on March 19th, because we're going to be doing grid work. Now, it gets better. I promise it gets better. After that, I was speaking with my friend Mica, who again has arranged this location for me, and she said, did you know that is the same day as the New York Marathon? And once again, we come up against where light workers are like, oh, that's too much energy. What are we going to do? And my guide said, well, yeah, of course, when you have a mass of people moving through a city like that, it cleanses the energy. So part of your grid work is to work in conjunction with the people who are subconsciously, unknowingly shifting energy in the heart of New York City by running a marathon. And you are working in tandem with them. Many of them are light workers, unaware. So that adds another layer to what we are doing. And then finally, here's the last part of the story. I promise I'm almost done. Spirit said, why are you limiting the participation to people in person? Can you not allow those who would like to attend virtually? You can broadcast. There's internet. You can do a Zoom right there at the theater with the people in person and the people who are virtual. And I thought, oh, wow. Spirit said there are a lot of people all over the earth who will want to join you to help you with the grid work because they know how powerful grid work in New York City is. When you do grid work in New York City, because of its influence on the world, it is connected to so many other places, and it will literally ripple throughout the world. And that's when all of this came together. So I'm not only here to teach you about planetary grid work, I'm here to invite you to join with us. You can find out more through the link below. Walking you through as well in this next part of the episode, what to do on your own if you feel drawn to go to a big city and do planetary grid work. And the funny thing was, I was having this conversation with Spirit. This happens a lot where I'm like, why would I talk about that? I feel like a lot of people who listen to this podcast already know about grid work. They know what's going on. They've talked to me. They've been like, oh yeah, I did grid work in Machu Picchu, or I went somewhere else and I knew I went there just to do grid work. And Spirit said, well, we'd like to invite you to channel some information that may be new to them. So I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to tap in and allow to come through tips and information about what to do when you feel called to do grid work. And maybe something I share will be new for you. So I want to take a deep breath here as I am going into a mode of a little bit of channeling and just allow you to get into a place of calm, a place of receiving, holding your hands out, placing them in front of you with the palms facing up. For not only will I be sharing with you information, I will also be activating within you a greater ability to do planetary grid work. And so that's why I want to put some music on and just let drop in whatever wants to drop in as far as light language goes and messages. Galahisa Shohyama Tokuyana Goriena is Wipararitiana Logyakta Yashasiakta Urukia Tokuyama. Hello, dear ones. We come to you as a Council of Planetary Gridworkers, past, present, and future. We come from the ancient times, we come from the present times, we come from the future times, the new earth, and we work together for the place where we do good work is beyond space and time. And that is our first message for you as you are being instructed on some of the basic and key information about planetary grid work. As you arrive at the place you have been called to go, it is important for you to step out of time and space to almost create a bubble around you of energy of the void and do your work from there. Now, it is also key that you follow your intuition, that you trust yourself and what is coming through. For sometimes you will be in a group and sometimes you will be by yourself. And when you are by yourself, we know what tends to happen. You tend to wonder, is this real? Is what I am feeling and sensing actually happening? And we say to you, lean into it. Lean into what is dropping in when you go to do grid work. Trust yourselves, dear one. Trust yourselves. Taking another deep breath, we offer more light language activation, in particular for the soles of your feet, which will be walking upon different places on the planet that would like to receive codes which you hold. Ariata kuusha, gamhaiyat kuyalalaitana, rokia sasasa kushuya, rokia sasak isotukuya mahaya. We then invite you, as you are working through this gridding, this energetic process, to call in two groups. Firstly, the fathers and mothers of the earth, or as you might say, the grandfathers and grandmothers of the earth. Those who have been here since the beginning, the indigenous shamanic energies that are so interconnected with Gaia. And secondly, we invite you to call in the galactic grandmothers and grandfathers, those who seeded the planet before time, before the birth of Gaia, in even the stages of preconception. They volunteered to assist this entire creation. They come to bring their energies. So inviting in the earth, inviting in the cosmic and galactic energies, and you standing, dear one, as a bridge. For that is oftentimes your role. Not only are you being invited to bring codes into Gaia, you are also being invited to take codes that are dormant in Gaia and send them out to bless the rest of the galaxy and the rest of the universe. For you, dear ones, truly cannot comprehend the power that emanates from this little planet tucked away in this little galaxy in the corner of the universe. We know that you now feel within you what we are saying and the energy that it holds. We know that you are now realizing your role and your soul purpose is, in part, doing the grid work, which we have spoken of. We leave you with a final light language activation and remind you of your power, remind you of your light, remind you of your divinity. Huruyak tia ashusa, gambara etakaila, uruki ana, shiaktaka ushiama, zoya siata, siata, siata. This is JJ, allowing yourself now to receive and fully integrate that energy, and you may want to go back and listen to fully comprehend what came through. I want to take a moment and invite you to join me in expressing gratitude to the beautiful Council of Gridworkers that came through. You might have felt some of your past or future selves within that collective. Just so grateful for that message. So much in that I even learned as I was channeling. Wow. Okay, well, I want to just address briefly one more topic in this episode, and that is the topic of managing Ascension Overwhelm. That's the word that came to me. My guides were actually laughing at me because you know what they said? They said, we understand what you're trying to say when you label it Ascension Overwhelm, but you have to understand another thing, and that is that when you say those words, it's really not overwhelmed due to ascension symptoms. It's really resisting ascension that causes the overwhelm. And so I guess that's really my message. It's like essentially this, just remember to surrender. When you feel the overwhelm coming on, expand your light body, expand your capacity, ask for help from your guides, and stretch yourself out, because your body is just asking to be a little bit expanded. Every time you feel that overwhelm, it's just a little signal. Rather than judging it as something negative, look at it as a little clue, a little reminder to expand that light body out. Do a meditation, take a deep breath, and just say, I am ready, I receive, I surrender. I am ready, I receive, I surrender. Okay? I know a lot of us are going through it right now. This first week, it feels like it's been weeks in March. It's only been 1 week in March 2023. But that's okay. We're here. We're in this together. You are here for a reason, my friends. And I want to encourage you to take this information about grid work and see what you can do. If you feel called to join us virtually or in person in Manhattan, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. I would love and be honored to co-create with you. There are a few little other events coming up here in the next little while that I want to remind you about, and that's what I'll spend this next couple of minutes doing. I have our Galactic Family Gathering on Saturday, March 11th, and then on March 12th, I actually have 2 gatherings. We have our fairies, dragons, and elementals, and then our light language circle. So I would love to co-create with you in any and all of those. Lastly, we are approaching the closing of the doors for the Priestess Portal. They officially close, and we are pausing enrollment till the fall or till the summer cohort, because we have a cohort every season. We are pausing enrollment. And so if you want to jump into the spring cohort where we discuss the dark feminine, the void, some really beautiful topics about the inner temple, and that happens on March 17th. Finally, in addition to the live in-person events in Manhattan, you heard me talk about Connecticut. I will be in Connecticut on Friday, March 17th, holding a goddess activation workshop, as well as Saturday, March 18th, doing a Lemurian group past life regression and healing. Would love to see you face to face there. So just want to remind you about that. There are some other things happening in March and April and even beyond. Let me remind you, you can go straight to my website. You can find all that information there if you are wanting to co-create. All right, my friends, as always, I am truly sending you so much love. Just close your eyes. I want you to feel that for a moment. Not only do I feel myself sending you love, but I feel love coming from so many beautiful beings that really want you to know that you are held, you are supported, and you are loved. And then finally, my reminder that I am you, and you are me, and we are we. Until next time.